Milt Freedman, the great economist, long after he's passed away, his videos are still going all over X and Twitter because they're wise, because they're true. I'm John Mike Keene, and this is Milt Freedman.
You can spend your own money on yourself. And when you spend your own money on yourself, you're very careful of what you spend it on, and you make sure that you get the most for your dollar.
That's the very best use of money, is when you spend it on yourself. You're the most frugal, you're the most careful, you're the most responsible. He had a weird statement. He would say greed is good on Donahue.
Did you ever have a moment of doubt about capitalism and whether greed's a good idea to run on?
Well, first of all, tell me, is there some society you know that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Of course, none of us are greedy. It's only the other fellow who's greedy. The world runs on individuals pursuing their separate interests. The great achievements of civilization have not come from government bureaus. Einstein didn't construct his theory under order from a bureaucrat. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry that way. In the only cases in which the masses have escaped from the kind of grinding poverty you're talking about, the only cases in recorded history are where they have had capitalism and largely free trade.
And that's, of course, he doesn't believe that greed, thinking about only yourself, is good. What he means is that it will give you the most frugal, careful use of money as a tool.
You can spend your own money on somebody else. You give gifts to other people. You take people out to dinner. And when you spend your own money on somebody else, you're very careful that you don't spend too much. You try to keep down the amount you spend. But you don't worry very much about what the other fellow's getting from it. You don't pay anything like as much attention to the gifts you buy for other people as to the things you buy for yourself.
That's because charity makes us open our hearts and open our wallets for other people. It is great to give gifts. And Milt Freedman defends giving yourself more money so that you have more charity. It's actual charity when you spend your money on someone else. That's very different than welfare programs, which is why people that say that Jesus is a socialist are infinitely wrong. He never wanted you to make the government be charitable. All of his demands of being charitable and giving to others is about giving what you have, your money, your gifts, to others. That's charity. It allows you to actually be generous when it's your money going to someone else. So this is also why you should get more money, lower taxes, so that you yourself can spend your money on what you want versus what the government thinks is good.
Or you can spend somebody else's money, as when you're spending the government's money. I say the government's money, the taxpayers' money, which the government has control over. Now you're spending somebody else's money. Let's say you're spending your boss's money. You're out to lunch on an expense account, but you're spending it on yourself. You're very careful that you get good things for your money. You try to have a good lunch and pick the right things, but you're not very much worried about whether you get the cheapest, spend all you want, and you'll be careless.
So spending your someone else's money on yourself is the third way to spend money, and it's not great because you start to lose the economy of being careful. You're less careful. Those of us who've gone out on the boss or had to take first class flights, for me, when I go to speaking engagements, you're less careful with other people's money. It doesn't cost you anything.
Now, what happens when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else? You're a distributor of welfare funds. Well, you're interested in making your own life as good as you can, and most people have humane instincts and want to do the best they can, but you're not going to be anything like as careful in spending somebody else's money on somebody else.
And this goes into our government waste, our government taxes, all of those budgets that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to look at and cut. They're going to cut into that economy of spending someone else's money on someone else, which is the worst way to spend money. We should try to reduce all of that form of spending money because no one has an incentive to be frugal or careful. And it's why our government is operating at a huge waste. Like right now, the Pentagon has something like 75%. Washington, D.C. has 75% empty rooms, like they're not even using buildings the way that they're supposed to. And it's a bureaucracy that's made to protect that bad spending practice. This is the wisdom of Milt Freedman, still true decades after he's passed away. And people are still quoting him today because he always had the right path forward.
You know, I think you're taking a lot of things for granted. And just tell me where in the world you find these angels who are going to organize society for us.
Well,
I don't even trust you to do that.
I'm John Mike Keene.